I discovered my wife's affair on Valentine's Day. When she was pregnant, she took the initiative to ask for divorce. I gladly agreed and signed the papers with a smile. I thought we would never cross paths again, but just a few days later, her attitude made a complete 180-degree turn as she came in a wheelchair begging to reconcile. Honey, why are you taking a cab for such a short distance? I accidentally glimpsed Yushinran, my wife, ordering a rideshare. I found it strange since her company was very close to home, just a few steps away. Why are you sneaking looks at my phone? The company wants me to go on a business trip today. It's quite far. How else am I supposed to get there? If you were capable of buying a car, I wouldn't need to take cabs. Yushinran turned her phone away, seeming displeased. But I still managed to see that her ride-sharing app level was as high as level 9. Didn't we already plan to save money for a house first? Now you're blaming me. My casual question had unexpectedly triggered such a strong reaction from her. You found a good excuse for your own incompetence. All these years, I haven't seen any money you've saved. Yushinran put on her leather shoes, applied lipstick, and left. She always got off work earlier than me. Several hours after I got home, she still hadn't returned and stayed out all night. Does a business trip in the local area really need this long? I wondered, but thought I might be overthinking it, so I didn't pursue it further. We both came from families that weren't well off, so working hard was the only way to save money. My performance had always met or exceeded targets, and I had been with the company for a long time, so the leadership decided to promote me. Valentine's Day was coming up in a few days, and I planned to tell her this good news then as a surprise. I booked the restaurant in advance. On Valentine's Day, when we went to order at the restaurant, she looked at the menu with slight surprise. How come you're willing to take me to such an expensive restaurant today? That's not like you. I acted mysterious and said, Isn't making money all for you to spend? I have some good news to tell you later that will definitely make you happy. By the way, happy Valentine's Day. I pulled out a large bouquet of red roses from behind. Yushinran showed no joy on her face, but rather disgust. She took the flowers and threw them to the ground, rose petals scattering everywhere. Can't you give something useful? These flowers will wilt in a few days. What's the point? Looking at the scattered petals on the ground, I felt somewhat dejected. I thought you would like them. She sneered. Other people's husbands give cars and houses, or at least branded goods and jewelry. You just give flowers. Who would like that? Do you think I'm a 3-year-old? Marrying you is such a hardship. I may not be as wealthy as others, but I'm working hard to make our life better. After years of marriage, I realized my wife had always looked down on me. Yushinran stood up. I don't see where you're working hard, except in your words. She went to the bathroom and didn't return for a long time, leaving her phone on the table. Thinking about her unusual behavior lately, I impulsively opened her phone and checked the ride-hailing app, discovering she frequently visited the same location, an upscale residential complex, with occasional trips to hotels. Could she really have betrayed me? I then opened WeChat and noticed a contact without a saved name. My instincts told me something was wrong. The chat history hadn't been deleted, or perhaps wasn't fully deleted due to their frequent conversations. They often met up, and that residential complex was where that man lived. I checked his moments and discovered he was Yushinran's boss. As far as I knew, this boss was already married. So not only was she having an affair, but she was also being the other woman. While I've been wholly devoted to our family, her heart had already gone to someone else. No wonder she's been so temperamental with me lately. I was burning with anger. Are you snooping through my phone again? Why are you so controlling? You couldn't even wait a moment after I left. Yushinran slapped me across the face. Looking at the screen full of chat messages, my hands couldn't stop trembling. How would I know what you've done if I didn't check your phone? How do you explain this? Yushinran appeared completely indifferent. There's nothing to explain. Since you already know, I'll tell you directly. She took out a paper from her bag and handed it to me. I'm pregnant. Let's get divorced. I've long wanted to leave you. How could she say such cruel words? It's his child, isn't it? You're carrying his baby. Yushinran caressed her belly, her eyes glowing with maternal love, which I found particularly ironic. Of course it's his. Did you think I would have your child? I wouldn't let my child suffer like that. I gave a knowing smile. No wonder you've been treating me with such contempt lately. So you'd already found your next target. He's your boss. He should be able to give you a good life. But becoming a mistress for money, you really have no moral bottom line. I caught her off guard. What mistress? The one who isn't loved in a relationship is the real mistress. What do you know? Talking to you is just wasting my time. Just sign here. Yushinran impatiently slapped the divorce papers on the table, making the black pen shake. So she really became that boss's mistress. She's bringing about her own destruction. I don't even need to do anything. That boss is notorious for being a playboy, and she's just his latest temporary interest. If I had any expectations for her before, they're all gone now. Such a foolish woman isn't worth my lingering feelings. I, Wang Tianming, can take it and let it go. Getting a promotion and raise, plus getting rid of a shameless woman. I couldn't ask for more. I'd like to see how your life turns out. I smiled as I signed. Yu Xinran touched her belly. Don't worry about me. You wouldn't be able to afford me anyway in the future. She smiled brightly looking out the window, but turned to me with disdain. My husband is here to pick me up. You can stay here eating your poor man's meal. She's not even married yet, and here she is, being a mistress and already calling him husband. Have some shame. Just then, the dishes I ordered arrived, and I started enjoying these dishes that I usually wouldn't dare to order. I thought Yu Xinran had left, but unexpectedly she returned, strutting in with her boss Wu Guangguo on her arm. Wu Guangguo reached out and flipped over the dish I was eating. So you're Ranran's ex-husband? I put down my chopsticks and replied calmly. Yes, that's me. What about it? One look and I can tell you're a poor wretch. Ranran really suffered marrying someone like you. I'm here today to get revenge for her. Wu Guangguo grabbed the wine bottle from the table and smashed it on my head, the liquid dripping down and soaking my hair. Yu Xinran covered her face and exclaimed excitedly, Wow, honey, you're so manly. You're amazing, so much better than that wimp. Let me show you what it feels like to be with the right person. Encouraged by her words, Wu Guangguo picked up the wine glass again and swung it down at my head. He patted my face condescendingly and said, Kid, you're not young anymore. I guess you've been drifting in this city for years, and look at the mess you've become. TSK, I wonder how Ranran could stand you back then. You don't have a house, and probably no car either, right? Wu Guangguo flaunted his car keys in front of my eyes. Open your eyes wide and take a good look. You probably couldn't afford a car like this even if you worked for 8 lifetimes. Besides being expensive, this car has nothing special to brag about. You're into someone else's leftovers, so your taste can't be that great anyway. I wasn't impressed at all. There are plenty of rich people in this world. Wu Guangguo became frustrated when his showing off failed, and he flipped the table, spilling all the food onto me. Damn it, you stubborn fool. Yu Xinran's face turned red with anger. You're the unwanted one. I was the one who rejected you. Get that straight. Oh really? You abandoned a perfectly good marriage to become a mistress, and you're proud of it? Do you dare tell others the whole story? Yu Xinran, being vain and concerned about face, was intimidated by me and started to stutter. If it gets out, you'll lose face too. If you really don't care about what others think, then go ahead and expose everything. Let's see who ends up more embarrassed. I have nothing to hide because I've done nothing wrong. The public can still distinguish right from wrong between someone who cheats to become a mistress and someone who gets cheated on. Shameless. Yu Xinran, unable to argue back, cursed and left with Wu Guangguo. I heard she even quit her job and now spends every day at the boss's other house, waiting to give birth. Yu Xinran sent me several pictures of food and some expensive jewelry. Without you, my life is this good. Didn't you want to see how I live every day? Satisfied? Isn't it much better than you imagined? Looking at the pictures and messages she sent, I just found it amusing. Anyway, such days won't last long, and nothing will remain in the end. I ignored it and continued working. On a hot summer day, I went to an ice cream shop to cool down, unexpectedly running into Yu Xinran. She was surrounded by a group of people. I thought to myself that she would eventually get beaten up by the legal wife with such a flashy attitude. Wang Tianming, what an unfortunate encounter. I scooped some ice cream into my mouth and said sarcastically, Oh, madam, aren't you supposed to be living a luxurious life every day? Why come to such a commoner's shop? It doesn't match your status at all. I usually wouldn't lower myself to come to such a basic place, but I just happened to crave this taste. I suppose my presence brings some glory to this small shop. Yu Xinran said smugly while taking big bites of ice cream. Looking at how she ate, you'd think she'd never had ice cream before. Besides, she had a cold constitution and blood deficiency, and shouldn't be eating such things while pregnant. Soon after, Yu Xinran clutched her stomach in pain and started screaming. My stomach, my stomach. Take me to the hospital quick. Just as I was watching this scene unfold, someone unexpected entered the shop, leaving Yu Xinran looking terrified. With me here, let's see who dares to make a move. The woman's sharp voice echoed throughout the shop. Yu Xinran's scream stopped. The people around her looked uneasy when they saw the woman arrive, and some immediately switched sides to stand beside her. Madam, what brings you here? What kind of madam is she? I am the real madam. You all turned against me as soon as she arrived. Just wait until I tell my husband to fire all of you. Yu Xinran clutched the corner of the table angrily, and no one dared to help her up. If you want to climb the social ladder, you should first see if you're qualified. How dare you be so presumptuous? Do you think you can do whatever you want just because you're carrying a child? The woman's eyes lingered on her belly. She must be Wu Guangguo's legitimate wife. Yu Xinran was in trouble now. You don't have a child, so of course you're envious of me who does. I think I'm more than qualified. You think you're so great just because they listen to you? They may fear you, but I don't. Yu Xinran held her head high, but still couldn't hide her vulnerability. To Wu Guangguo, the only useful thing about you now is the child, but it seems you won't have that for long either. Yu Xinran had just eaten ice cream, a stimulating food, followed by such intense emotional fluctuations, and her chair was already covered in blood. Help me. Save my child. You can't just watch me die. The surrounding customers realized this was a confrontation between the legal wife and the mistress. No one was willing to help her. Yu Xinran was clearly frightened, crying and begging for help. Who would want to help you? You're just an arrogant mistress. Others stayed away from the situation. It was only the store manager who called an ambulance, fearing something serious might happen. That woman remained completely composed throughout, intimidating everyone present with just a few words. To remain so calm when facing the mistress, she was no ordinary person. But why didn't she divorce Wu Guangqua even after seeing his true nature? Perhaps she also didn't want to give up her comfortable lifestyle? I was curious and blurted out, "Are you really not angry at all?" As she was about to leave, she stopped in her tracks when she heard my question, her gaze lingering on my face. "So what about you? As her ex-husband, what do you think getting angry will accomplish?" More questions arose in my mind. "How did you know I'm her ex-husband?" She didn't answer and walked away. I took a taxi to the hospital, planning to go specifically to see Yu Xinran make a fool of herself. She lay weakly on the hospital bed with an 4 drip, barely having enough strength to keep her eyes open. "Why are you here? What are you doing here? I don't need you to visit me. We have no relationship anymore." Yu Xinran tried to lift her head, but immediately deflated when she saw it was me, showing disappointment on her face. I had asked the doctor. She had lost the baby. "You're overthinking it. I'm here to mock you." Yu Xinran tried to throw a potted plant at me, but she was too weak, and it didn't even come close to reaching me. "Just you wait. When my husband comes, he'll make it up to me properly. You'll be so jealous then." I glanced at the empty corridor and said, "If he wanted to come, he would have been here already. No one has even paid your medical bills yet. It's not like you have to pay anyway. For my husband, these small medical expenses mean nothing. If it were you, you probably couldn't even afford it." I didn't expect her self-deception had reached such an extreme level. "You have no one by your side now. Don't you find that strange? He's already abandoned you, hasn't he?" Yu Xinran gritted her teeth. "That's my business. You poor wretch don't need to worry about it. If you don't pay soon, be careful, the hospital might throw you out." Having said enough words to hit where it hurts, I didn't stay any longer. The company is currently planning a major project, collaborating with a well-known large enterprise, and they sent me to negotiate with their representative. I added the contact information of their representative, and we arranged to meet at a cafe. I arrived early at the agreed location with the contract, waiting, but their representative was someone I never expected. "It's you." She was none other than Wu Guangqua's wife. "We meet again. Let me formally introduce myself. I'm Hua Xiuyun, representative of the Hua Group." I shook hands with her and gave a brief self-introduction. After exchanging pleasantries, we immediately got down to business. She wasn't just a housewife unfamiliar with the workplace. She had her unique insights about the project. Our conversation was harmonious, and she really impressed me. After our discussion, she also felt there weren't any major issues, and the cooperation was basically confirmed. After completing the company task, I relaxed and asked the question that had been on my mind. "Now that Yu Xinran has lost her child, are they still in contact?" I realized my question was a bit sharp. "I'm sorry, you don't have to answer that. I was just curious." Hua Xiuyun didn't show any discomfort and replied calmly. "Wu Guangqua is the type of person who forgot who he was after gaining power and money. Just as our whole corporation was able to help him build his business, we naturally have the power to bring him down." She took a sip of coffee and said, "Yu Xinran was just one of his many women, someone he played with and discarded, no exception. In the past, Wu Guangqua's company performance was decent and benefited Hua Corporation. Given the gravity of the situation, divorce was too hasty. But his behavior has become increasingly outrageous, interfering in others' marriages. If this gets out, Hua Corporation will be implicated. Is that why you delayed the divorce until now?" Hua Xiuyun nodded slightly, yes. Without his backing, Wu Guangqua must be having a hard time, not to mention Yu Xinran. Thinking about their miserable state made even the coffee before me taste less bitter. In a way, we've shared in each other's hardships. Seeing that she didn't mind, I also joked. Indeed, now we're even in the same boat. Finally, we confirmed that the contract signing would take place at our company building, with the official signing scheduled for a few days later. If this project is successfully completed, the benefits for me are obvious. Not only will there be a substantial bonus, but the leadership will also put more trust in me. For such an important occasion, I had to prepare well. I went to a tailor shop to get a custom-fitted suit and saw a brand new me in the mirror. On the signing day, important company leaders, Hua Xiuyun, and several representatives were present. I was a bit nervous, and my right eyelid kept twitching. I opened the projector and explained the core content of the project. Both companies made their speeches, and the signing proceeded smoothly. As a representative and the daughter of the Hua family, it was natural for Hua Xiuyun to sign. Just as she picked up the pen to sign, someone burst in and interrupted. The person barged through the door, and upon seeing me, grabbed onto me saying, "Ming, I was blind before. If you can forgive me and get back together with me, I promise I'll be completely devoted to you from now on, with no second thoughts." Why was Yushinran here, and in a wheelchair? Let go. Didn't Wu Guangqua divorce you? You two make a perfect match. I'm just a poor guy who's not good enough for you. I pried her hands off and stepped aside. Hua Xiaoyan calmly continued to sign the documents and handed the contract to me, saying, "I hope we have a pleasant cooperation. Looking forward to working together." I took it with an apologetic smile, grateful that she wasn't affected by this scene. The leader noticed I had personal matters to attend to, took the contract and left the conference room, leaving just the three of us behind. Yushinran clutched my clothes tightly. "Tianming, why didn't you tell me about your promotion and raise? But it's not too late that I know now. We've only been divorced for a few days. Surely our past feelings are still there. For remarriage, I don't need anything else. Let's go house hunting together. Just put my name on the property deed. That's my only condition." "Yushinran, you're thinking too much. I have no intention of remarrying you. What makes you think someone like you, who lacks moral principles, deserves a second chance? Even if I'm buying a house, how is that any of your business? You're really overestimating your charm. It's all right. Even if you can't meet this condition, it doesn't matter. As long as you forgive me, we don't need any conditions. My legs were permanently confined to a wheelchair due to a car accident a few days ago." Yushinran put her hands on her knees and burst into tears. "I was blind before, falling for Wu Guangqua. I was just confused at that time. Now I finally understand my true feelings. It's you, Tianming." I couldn't help but laugh. "Is this the luxurious life you've been longing for? There's no medicine for regret in this world. Save these lies for Wu Guangqua. I'm not interested. Making a scene here won't help. You chose to betray him back then, and causing trouble now will only destroy any remaining goodwill between you." Hua Xiaoyan spoke calmly. "Who do you think you are to interfere in our business? We are husband and wife. You're just an outsider. What? Just because you're divorced, you've set your sights on my Tianming." Yushinran tried to stand up, but found she couldn't. Hua Xiaoyan splashed water in her face. "You've always been Benia. Me, before and now. Don't be insolent in front of me. You were too gentle with her. She never learns." I coldly looked at Yushinran. Her face was covered with either tears or water. "Wang Tianming, you've been involved with her all along, haven't you? You two hid it so well. Neither Gu Guangqua nor I discovered it. I thought you were so innocent, but you're no different from us. What right does she have to be heartbroken? You're judging others by your own standards. We've only met a few times. Not everyone is like you and Wu Guangqua." Hearing her describe my relationship with Hua Xiaoyan that way, I slightly frowned. "You're right. I was indeed too gentle." Hua Xiaoyan slapped her. "Security, get this person out of here." Yushinran frantically turned her wheelchair, but still couldn't keep up with the pace of walking, and was driven out by security. The steps at the company entrance were too high for her to climb. She fell from her wheelchair, and no one was willing to help her up. She had to slowly move her awkward body back onto the wheelchair by herself. "Wang Tianming, I won't give up." The way she spoke made me a bit afraid of her, and I felt even more certain that getting divorced was the right decision. "I'm really sorry about what happened today. You got criticized because of me too. When are you free? Let me treat you to a meal." I felt uneasy about how Yushinran had portrayed my relationship with Hua Xiaoyan in such an unfavorable light. Hua Xiaoyan adjusted my tie and agreed readily. "It's not a big deal at all. I don't mind. As for the meal, I'll let you know when I'm available. We can consider it our celebration dinner." When I returned home, I was surprised to find Yushinran had followed me to my doorstep. "Yushinran, what are you doing outside my house this late at night? You're like a lingering ghost." Yushinran looked at me pitifully after hearing my words. "I'm not doing anything special. This is also my home. Can I come back? I never expected you to be so heartless, kicking me out of your company and even changing all the locks at home. You're so cruel. Look into your own heart. Am I really the cruel one?" She was speechless. I took out my keys and opened the door, and she followed me in. "This is my home. Please leave." I tried to close the door, but she blocked the doorway and refused to move. "I've lived in this place for so long, I've grown attached to it. Let me take one last good look around. And at you too. I've never really wanted to let go." Her emotional manipulation had no effect on me. "Now that your leg is broken, you suddenly can't bear to leave. You're just looking for someone to take care of you without complaint, aren't you? I won't fall for your tricks. Give up on that idea. If you really like this place, I can sublet it to you, 10,000 a month. Pay me now, and I'll move out right away so you can live here." Seeing how determined I was, Yushinran changed her approach. "Tianming, what's the point of me living alone after you left? I suddenly remembered I still have some things here that I haven't taken. Could you help me get them?" Not wanting to get entangled with her anymore, I asked, "Just tell me what things they are. I'll get them for you, and then you leave immediately." She thought for a moment, listed a bunch of items, and after I found them, I threw them heavily at her. "There you go. Now you can get out." Shinran covered her head after being hit, wanting to get angry but still trying to put on an act. Tianming, look how late it is now. It's not safe for me to go back alone. Just let me stay here for one night. Just one night, and I'll leave. It won't cause you any trouble. My patience was completely exhausted. I roughly pushed her out the door. Her wheelchair got stuck at the doorstep, and I impatiently kicked the wheel. Wang Tianming, how could you treat me like this? Shinran was thrown to the ground by me, her head hitting the floor, leaving a bruise. Stop bothering me. You make me sick. If you show up in front of me again, I'll call the police. I slammed the door shut and looked outside through the peephole. I felt a bit better only after seeing Shinran getting up awkwardly and leaving. My phone rang in my pocket. It was from Xiaoyun. Didn't you say you wanted to treat me to a meal? I'm free the day after tomorrow at noon. Do you have any other plans that day? No. Then let's meet the day after tomorrow. Do you have any favorite restaurants to recommend? We can go there directly. There's a nice tea house. I'll send you the location later. Okay. Being someone who hates being late, I arrived at the restaurant early and waited for her. Xiaoyun arrived fashionably late. Something unexpected came up suddenly. Did I come too late? When she arrived, all the dishes I had ordered based on her preferences were just being served. I shook my head and pulled out a chair for her. No, your timing is perfect. I haven't been waiting long. You must be hungry. Please sit down and eat. The dishes she ordered were delicious, and we had a great conversation. She didn't find it boring when we talked about the project. Just as we were deeply engaged in our conversation, an uninvited guest arrived. Wu Guanghua violently flipped our table and roared. You worthless woman! You bankrupted my company and left me with so much debt. How dare you sit here having dinner with some random man? No wonder he's with you, Shinran. Their logic and way of thinking are exactly the same. It's time to get revenge for how he humiliated me that day. I held back then, but not anymore. Watch your mouth, or I'll have to teach you how to speak properly. I clenched my fist and punched him in the face, making him spit. Wang Tianming, so it's you. Instead of being a decent person, you've become a toy boy for some rich woman? How can a poor guy like you handle that? An unusual awkwardness appeared on Xiaoyun's face. You couldn't seize opportunities yourself, so you're trying to smear others? Your company's bankruptcy was your own doing. I should have done this long ago. Fine then. Since you've pushed me into a corner, I'll take you down with me even if I die. I have no way out anyway, and I'm sick of hiding from debts every day. Wu Guanghua's veins bulged as he pulled out a knife from his chest and lunged at Xiaoyun. Watch out. I quickly pushed Wu Guanghua away, but still got cut by his knife. He was subdued by the restaurant's security guards, his eyes bloodshot, still cursing at Xiaoyun. You bitch, you ruined my life. You'll die a horrible death. I stood in front of Xiaoyun, blocking Wu Guanghua from her view. Later, Xiaoyun insisted on taking me to the hospital to get bandaged. Thank you for just now. If it weren't for you, I might have been the one who got hurt. Actually, it was just a minor wound, nothing serious for me. That's understandable. After all, I'm a man and I can protect you. However, I didn't expect Wu Guanghua would go to such extreme lengths with you. He felt like he had nothing left to lose, so he wanted to drag me down with him. I'm sorry you got involved in this. She kept feeling apologetic and only felt a bit better after I comforted her with a few words. Wu Guanghua was imprisoned for intentional assault, so she wouldn't be in any danger for now. After sending her home, I left. A few days later, the manager specifically talked to me, saying I was being transferred to headquarters. I initially thought I had been recognized for my work, but then learned it was because Xiaoyun said I had good capabilities and deserved a promotion. For the sake of closer cooperation between the company and Hua Corporation, the management had no choice but to comply. The compensation at headquarters was double what I was getting here, with more opportunities too. I quickly booked my flight there. Before leaving, I sent Xiaoyun a farewell text. About what happened that day, we had an unspoken understanding. I knew it was her way of showing gratitude.